White has a pawn. Black king is right in front of it. Can white win this endgame? Let's see what happens first if white pushes the pawn to e5. Black can now very easily draw, just staying in front of the pawn. Let's check it. Let's check a few moves how it works. White tries to break through, doesn't really work out, eventually has to push the pawn, and black just stays in front of the pawn. Eventually, whatever happens, if black plays it right, white cannot win this. Black comes here, and now it's a stalemate, or white king needs to stay away. So this leads us to the first important rule of the pawn and king endgames. To win, the player needs to push king in front of the pawn. Not in the back, not on the side, in front of the pawn. Back to the previous position now. Now you know king needs to go ahead, but where ahead? There is only one winning move for white, and that is king to e5, placing our king in front of the pawn and in the opposition to the opponent's king. Let's see how it works. Let's check firstly the option of black king going to the side. White can now go to the other side and simply easily escort its pawn, marching all the way to the queening square. Let's check how it works, and black simply cannot prevent this pawn from queening on the next move. You know how to take it from here. Let's check another option. What if black tries to play something else once we stand in the opposition? Let's say that black wants to play it smart and simply goes immediately to the last rank. So whatever black plays now, we can also do pretty much the same thing and get our king to the right square where he can follow our pawn to march all the way to the queening square. Game over, white is winning. Why did white win this? Because white king was able to stand in the opposition to the opponent's king. Black had to move, and every move loses. Last video we learned about the rule of the square, where pawn can simply outrun the opponent's king. But most of the endgames are not about the speed, they are about opposition also. Just to be clear, opposition is not only when you can oppose the opponent's king in front, straight in front of the pawn. This can also work. Let me show you. So our king goes to f5. The opponent can now also either go to the back rank, we know how to handle it, or simply stand in front of the pawn. And now we again stand in the opposition that you know from before. And now whatever you do, this is very clearly winning. What if black can get in opposition while defending? In this position, black is to move, and it has only one drawing move, and that is king to e7, standing exactly in opposition towards the white king. And whatever white plays now, black can simply hold the opposition. Whatever white tries, black holds the opposition. White tries to do anything else, and we get into a familiar drawing position from before that black has no problem to hold. So simply staying in either opposition or staying in front of the pawn. And white can't break it. It's a clear draw if black can stand in opposition to the white king. In a position like this, there is only one question. Who has the opposition and who has to move? Let's say that white holds the opposition. Wherever black moves, white is easily winning, as we saw it before. And if black has the opposition, white has to move, and we have seen a second ago how it works. Black has no issue getting to that draw. So who has the opposition has the advantage, and the opposition has a huge importance because of this and can win you a lot of points in the endgames. Look at this now. White to move. This is a drawing position for white normally, as black has the opposition, but white has a secret weapon. The pawn can still move. So white plays e4, taking the opposition back. Now it's black to move, and whatever black plays, we know how this works as we saw it in the previous examples. White has no issues winning this. White is clearly winning because it had an extra pawn move. But what if in this position black has to move? Does it mean that black can get the opposition because of that extra move? Not really. It's even easier for white to win now. So whatever black plays, white can go to the other side or to the next rank, and whatever black tries and however they try to hold it, they simply can't. White can easily either keep the opposition or push the pawn at the right moment forward. So whatever black tries here, white is clearly winning. That pawn tempo is so helpful when you can use it any way you want. Remember, every pawn move you have in reserve is a tempo, a way to pass the turn and flip the opposition. This is why having your king ahead of your pawn with tempos available is so powerful. You can control who has to move. Talking pawns. When it comes to the opposition, there is one more thing that you should know. If white pawn has crossed the enemy territory already, it is even easier for white to win, no matter who holds the opposition. So in here, black holds the opposition and thinks, I'm done, I'm sorted, I'm getting my draw. But it doesn't work like that. Naturally, king has to be in front of the pawn still. So you move your king to any of the sides and black says, fine, I'll keep the opposition. But white can now push the pawn. Black goes back and white simply pushes e7. Black has to step aside. White moves with the king to escort the pawn to promotion and gets the queen out. So why did this work so well? Because the pawn was already in the enemy territory and the king was in front of the pawn. It is an easy win once you know what you're doing. This position will help us summarize what we talked about in this video and learn one new thing. So how does white win here? Remember the first rule that we talked about in this video? Yes, that's king in front of the pawn. So literally any move where king is going ahead of the pawn, so king to g3, king to f3, or king to e3 is winning here. All other moves draw. Let's play king to e3. I want to show you something. This is called distant opposition. 3 squares between the kings instead of 1. With what you learned today, this should be now an easy win for you. Let's say that black knows about opposition also and says, oh, I will keep here and I will stay in the opposition. White can easily move forward whatever black plays, but you know that if black even tries to get the opposition, you have that pawn extra move that can always get you out of trouble, as you learned before. So this should be an easy win from you once you reach a distant opposition. Can you solve this challenge with opposition? What I hope you got by now is that the right move is not king to e5, because if you play something like that, black stands in opposition and it is a draw. No, there is only one move in here that leads to a win for white, and that is in fact king to f5. This leads you into what we call diagonal opposition for obvious reasons. Whatever black plays right now, you can either stand in opposition or you can advance your king. So let's say that it works out like this. You push the pawn and after that very easily win this game. 3 things you should remember from this video. First, king goes always in front of the pawn. Not behind, not on the side, in front of the pawn. Second, stand in opposition to win or save the game. It works, you would be surprised how many times. Third, pawn tempos and pawns on the other side of the board make it much easier to win. Next week, how to defend drawing against king and pawn. See you on the board.